All right, I'm gonna have a whole lot more to say about this red bike, but for right now, all you need to know is that we're testing this brand new to me 1967 Yamaha YR1. You might think this is this red bike. It's not. You might think it's this black bike, but it's not. You might think it's even this blue bike, but it's not. So what is this? It's another one. I got another one. Am I crazy? Absolutely. Do I think I'm crazy? No. It makes a lot of sense that I bought this bike. I'll tell you why. So in a moment, I'm going to go through and talk about what this bike has and what it doesn't. But for now, there are a couple things that I want to try and just see what works and what doesn't work with the battery from the blue bike. I know this battery is good. The previous owner had not tried starting this bike, had not tried putting a battery in. The guy who was selling this bike in Kentucky, by the way, which I haven't told him about, that we drove the whole way from Pennsylvania to Kentucky to get this, he had not hooked up a battery to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So we're about to find out. If it's hooked up the way the other ones are, woo! I got lights on the dash. That's a good start. My other bike doesn't have those. That's neat. I have the light turned off here, so we'll see, in theory, if this works. There should be a low beam and a high beam. Ugh. Okay, so no... Uh-oh. That turned the lights off the dash, too. Interesting. It's not a good sign. Let me check, see if it just drained my whole battery. Hopefully not. You never know. Nope, battery's still good. How does that make any sense? The lights were working and now they're not. I don't know. I want to find out if the horn works. Now I'm not getting power anywhere. I wonder if I blew a fuse or something. There's a fuse right here. This fuse is not blown. That didn't go as planned. All right, I've been wiggling around the wires and trying to scuff up the positive and negative terminals here. I at least got the lights to come back on here, so we'll show you that. Also, we did have, all right, let me wiggle this a little more. I don't know if it's that. I think it's just these terminals need cleaned off a little bit. So I might have to go get like sandpaper or something and try that. I tried to use the horn a little bit there. I wish it were on camera, but Julia walked away. And it tried to honk, but it didn't have a whole lot of solid power. But anyway, so the headlight works. The horn probably works. But it's going to be an adventure trying to get this thing back up and running. Just to give a little bit more of an overview of the bike, I found this bike on Facebook Marketplace. It was about 5-ish hours away. It was right on the border between Kentucky and Ohio. But what drew me to this bike is it's mostly a complete 1967 Yamaha YR1. You'll notice a few real positive things about it. Obviously, this isn't going to start up because we don't have it. All right, huge problem. Let me fix that. If this bike works better now that the battery fell, I'm going to be kind of mad. But light, you see the light. This would be the high beam and the horn. And the horn. Jiggle the wires around. And the horn. Maybe. No horn. All right. And the horn. Nope. No horn. Anyway, I'm real curious if the turn signals work as well. Ooh. Interesting. I was expecting a blink. It's just an on. Oh, I think the horn was trying to go there. Anyway, we got left, so that works. If I want to blink, I gotta manually blink it, I guess. Anyway, yeah, like we were saying, I mean, I'll have to check the spark here too. I'll pull those out and see if it has spark. But regardless, the compression is great. So if we just turn the bike off, not that it makes too much of a difference, and then hold the front brake, which, by the way, I'll show you when I don't have the battery on there, or if I get the battery in a better spot where I can roll it around without worrying. The front brake is absolutely fantastic on this thing. So the 1967 Yamaha YR1 came with dual leading front drum brakes and a single rear drum brake. Even though these weren't the most advanced brakes at the time, these were considered some of the most powerful brakes on any bikes at the time, which is one of the reasons that this bike was a masterclass on the racetrack. Another reason was that this bike weighs almost nothing. Being a 350cc two-stroke, these things, their power to weight ratio was way beyond anything that a 350cc four-stroke could have had at the time. They were also extremely simple, with the exception of this was one of the first years that Yamaha had introduced its auto lubrication system. And you'll notice it was very heavily advertised at the time. So it's Yamaha injection system. All right, so there's a cable that goes in right here. And if we look on our other example here, that's where this cable will be going. It attaches in here and turns this. This is the auto lubrication pump. So there'd be hoses going to this from the oil reservoir that could hold the equivalent of enough two-stroke oil to mix with about 10 tanks of gas. But basically, the oil will come from the reservoir and will be mixed directly into the crank. Okay, so typically in a two-stroke, the oil and gas mix up in the heads, or really they mix in the tank, but they come in through the carburetors, and they'll come in through the heads and down into the crank. But on this one, the Yamaha auto lubrication system, which was just introduced, I believe, in 1964 on a different model, injected oil directly from the oil reservoir into the crank. So oil would continue to burn up in the pistons also, but this was a very reliable system to ensure that the crank was always adequately lubricated. And it also allowed riders to go to a regular gas station, or petrol station as you'd say in the UK, fill up with standard 87 octane gas or whatever it was, fill up the gas tank with gas, and then over on this side we have the oil reservoir. So this cap twists off, and it'd be behind the side cover here, but sorry. And I'll have to check the exact capacity here. It probably says it on this. What does it say? Pints. So what is that? 6 pints? Is that right? Then probably metric on this side. So about, what was that? Almost 3 liters of oil. That seems like a bit much, but maybe. Anyway, so this is an old way of measuring how much oil or gas you had. So this just hangs on the bottom, dips down, and it's just wet with how much oil is in there. But you would just pop the side cover off, which there's one little twist, a little screw, as you can see here. Just unscrew that. The front just hangs right here. And when you pull that off, the oil could be filled in, which typically, today, most gas stations will have some amount of two-stroke oil that you could just run in and grab. So you could actually take this bike on long-distance rides. With the Blue Bike, I don't have that system installed. I pre-mix all of my gas currently for the Blue Bike, which just means I take a gas can and put oil in and put gas in. I put fuel stabilizer in as well most of the time because I don't ride the bike as often as I'd like to. And then shake it around, make sure it mixes up well. And then you can, just put the mixture right into the gas tank. And then it flows through the petcock, obviously, down into the carbs, etc. But I'm really excited that this bike actually has that auto lubrication system. This one has an oil tank, but for the life of me, I can't get this dang cap off. So I'll have to get the big guns out and and figure out a way to get that off as well. But this is a whole separate project anyway, hence the motor sitting up here. Anyway, on to things that this bike needs. It's also missing the 2 air filters on the sides here. But when I bought this red bike as well, it came with air filters that were not being used. Those 2, and then I have this whole airbox assembly, an additional one sitting up top, and another motor there. Maybe I'm a hoarder. That I can use for this bike. So I'm pretty excited about that. I was a little bit disappointed to see that this shifter has been digging into this nice chrome panel here. So I could replace the shifter. Obviously that happens like if you drop the bike on its side, the shifter will be bent in, and then you go to use it and it'll scrape this up. It's actually not that bad condition right now. Despite the dent, like I think the black bike has a big scratch on the side of the cover there, but I should be able to replace this, or at the very least I can pull it off and just try to tap that dent out. There are various other dents all over the bike, which don't really bother me too much, on the rear fender, etc. I also noticed it has this rear passenger grab handle. I've never seen this before. It looks factory, but I'm guessing it's not. Or if it was probably an addition. But I'm wondering why it's just on one side. It seems like if you were going to install one, you'd probably want both. It just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense there. But I'm really excited on this bike. Both brakes, front and rear, they feel great. The chrome is in excellent condition for the age, obviously being in 1967. And I was going to show you earlier, I got distracted. Compression is great as well. So, man, excellent. So it's possible when I get gas hooked up and if I check and if it has spark, I think the bike will run. If not, as you could tell, I have various source bikes that I can pull parts from, or, what say you. But otherwise, it'll be an excellent project. One other thing that I thought was kind of funny, these tires, I'm not sure exactly how old they are, but I don't know if you can see the brand. Oh yeah, you can see that. Sears brand tires. I don't know when the last time was that Sears was selling tires, but it's been a while. I'll be curious to see if both gauges work. The blue bike currently doesn't have a functional RPM gauge, but I think that will also be something I can fix at some point. And the frame is just in excellent condition overall, at least compared to the black bike over there that I'm planning on, getting all the paint off of and restoring fully. So this bike did also come with a seat. I don't know if this is the original Yamaha YR1 seat. It looks like it might have come from a YR2 or a YR3. This does also have a Pennsylvania registration sticker from 1979, which is pretty interesting. I don't know when the last time was that this bike was actually ridden, but I can tell you it won't be too long until it's ridden again. I'm pretty excited about it. The last thing that I wanted to say that got me really excited about this bike is just the color. I've always wanted a red YR1, or even when I was looking originally, but there aren't a whole lot of these out there. So my options whenever I was looking for a YR1 really were fairly limited. So it was the blue bike that I ended up picking up first. And then I found one that's black, but as you can see by this gas tank, the original color for that one was also blue. I do have this red parts bike slash project bike. At the moment, it's more of a parts bike, but I would like to get this one running and maybe convert it into like an Arma vintage race bike. It wouldn't be necessarily competitive in that class because it would run alongside like RD350s. This bike has just about everything it needs except for a gas tank, air filters, which I have over there, a rear tail light, which I can actually grab from my parts pile. It is also missing a battery. I should be able to grab a new battery, no problem. So really, the only thing that I need to get this bike running should be a gas tank, and then obviously the petcock that goes on the bottom of the gas tank. That's the little fuel valve that switches it on and off. There is a gas tank for sale on the other side of Pennsylvania. It's about 4 hours away. So I'm going to see if I can't drive over there, I might see if I can get that item shipped. Otherwise, as for now, I think that's just about everything that I need, most of which I have. So wish me luck. If you guys want to stay tuned, see how this project goes, hit the subscribe button. But I'm guessing that I'm going to prioritize this bike first before finishing up the black bike, although I might work on them a little bit simultaneously here. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Keep yapping and keep cruising. And subscribe if you want to. Cheers. Milo's worried because his mommy's in the garage.
Yeah, I'm worried too because I'm not getting Starbs.
You're getting Starbucks.
He is depriving me of Starbucks.
I would never deprive you. I just got you Starbucks yesterday. The frog cake pop and the most outrageous drink you've ever heard of.
What?
Because she got a grande ice white mocha with sweet cream foam, extra caramel drizzle, and the caramel ribbon crunch. How do you even fit all that in a grande? And 99% of my viewers are gonna have no idea what that is.
That's right.
But it's like 1% coffee.
That's right.
That's all you need to know.
Time to go to Starbs, ladies.